When I heard that The Witcher 4 could potentially be shown during the tech demo for Unreal Engine 5 in the live showcase, I was skeptical. Like, how much could they really show at this point? Nonetheless, I logged in and watched the stream and was completely taken aback by how much footage they actually showed from the highly anticipated game, Witcher 4. Since we originally got the first trailer, released back in December, we haven't really heard much, and despite the trailer being a trailer, it managed to gain much attention, and yet also a lot of skepticism. It was the announcement of a new protagonist in Ciri, replacing the beloved Geralt, which had some worried, but a lot of people also were disappointed in Ciri's appearance. Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red's last game, is currently an exceptional game, one of the best, but its terrible launch is the stuff of legend. It not only changed gaming forever, showcasing why studios shouldn't release unfinished games, but it also damaged CDPR's impeccable reputation. Up until that point, they had been the studio who made games out of love and respected their fans. After Cyberpunk's launch, many labelled them as incompetent, greedy, and felt like the whole launch was just a money grab. It left a bad taste in the mouth of many consumers. Now, CDPR has worked tirelessly in order to get Cyberpunk to its current exceptional state, but let's be honest, for many gaming fans, the damage was already done. You cannot talk about Cyberpunk around many gamers without them immediately bringing up the Cyberpunk launch. I know some gamers personally who have not yet played and will never play Cyberpunk just out of principle. That is how big the damage was with that launch. CDPR did their best to fix things and restore their reputation, but some things just cannot be undone. Anyway, The Witcher 4's original announcement brought much skepticism due to many reasons, but we have now finally seen first glimpses of the game, including its open world, gameplay mechanics, its writing, Ciri, and a host of other gameplay features. In this video, I will be discussing the highlights as well as explaining why I think players can now begin to get excited about the prospect of Witcher 4 and assume that it will be everything they ever hoped. Okay, so the first thing I notice is a change in Ciri's appearance compared to the initial trailer. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't care about how she looked in the first trailer. It didn't really bother me, but suffice to say, I was in the minority. A lot of people did care and stated she looked older, less attractive, and wasn't the Ciri that they knew from The Witcher 4. Well, based off of the gameplay you see on screen, we can see a lot of changes have taken place. Her face has been slimmed down, there's been more makeup added, and it appears that she's had a few years knocked off her as well. If the first Ciri looked rough and weathered, this new Ciri looks pretty, charismatic, and just a future version of the Ciri that we all knew and loved from the previous games. Now, this may not seem like a big deal, but it honestly is, because it shows that CDPR listened to feedback and changed her appearance. Whether or not you agreed with the public's criticism of her original appearance, you can surely see the positive in the fact that CDPR heard the criticism and have actually made changes since. This shows that they are listening to fan feedback and actually taking it on board. This is very important and a good sign. Another thing to quickly touch on is that the voice actor has changed for this entry. The original Ciri from Witcher 3 was voice acted by Joe Wyatt, and in this game it will be played by Kira Berkeley. The good news is we got to see more dialogue in this tech demo, and not only is the writing top notch, but the performance by Kira is fantastic too. She manages to convey emotions, comes across as witty, and overall it really does feel like the Ciri that we knew and loved from The Witcher 3. The second thing we noticed was a massive upgrade in terms of gameplay. So if you've played Witcher 3, there were some issues gameplay wise. Quick side note, Witcher 3 is my favourite game of all time. It feels bad even making criticisms, but it is the truth. You see, despite having one of the best open worlds, some of the best quests in gaming and performances, the actual gameplay was not amazing. When Geralt ran around, it often felt quite stiff and a little off. If you fell from a height of over 1 foot, you would plummet to your death. And Roach? Don't even get me started on Roach. It was so hard to control that damn horse, and you'd be hard pressed to find anyone who loves the horse riding in this game. In fact, CDPR have even made jokes about this themselves in a side quest in Blood and Wine, where Geralt speaks to Roach and asks him why he's so hard to steer, and in Cyberpunk, where they put in an arcade minigame based around the fact that Roach glitched out all the time in Witcher 3. Anyway, it looks like this has been stepped up immensely. The horse riding shown looks more akin to that of Red Dead Redemption 2, with tight control and more natural movements. Same with the way that Ciri moves. It looks like the movement of the player in this sequel is much more polished and up to the standards of some of today's biggest games. A good example of this is Rockstar. They originally released Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which felt quite limited, and then they moved to GTA 4, where they introduced a new physics engine that made Nico Bellic feel more responsive and move more realistically. Since then, we've seen Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5, and they'll continue to improve on that formula. This essentially took Rockstar from a company that made great open world games with unpolished gameplay to a master of all trades. It looks, based on what we've seen here, that this has been upgraded in The Witcher 4. CD Projekt Red stated that Ciri and Kelpie will feel as one, and to support that, they've supported multi-character motion matching in Unreal Engine. So, Ciri and Kelpie are perfectly synchronized when mounting from any angle at any speed. They also stated they will support root motion movement on Kelpie, so that the horse feels and moves very realistically. The next is the details in the world. So first of all, look at the details in the horse here. This is Red Dead Redemption 2 levels of detail. The way the muscles tense based off of movement, the graphics, it's just light years ahead of the last Witcher game. It honestly looks as detailed as Red Dead Redemption 2. They are using machine-learned definitions, which is showcased here, and explains how they're able to make the horse look and act so realistic. If you watch the way that Ciri interacts with NPCs in the towns, the way she brushes with them, their reaction, it seems a lot more realistic. In Witcher 3, you just sort of ran at people and they all just reacted with a "arr," but you just carried on as normal. But look at this, Ciri literally bumps into this man carrying a basket of apples and they literally spill out and roll onto the floor. That's incredible. Then you can see NPCs actually interacting with each other and their environment. Look at this shopkeeper. Not only are these two NPCs interacting, but they're having an entire conversation. One is asking to buy fish, whilst the shopkeeper takes his order. Now look, the shopkeeper actually picks up a specific fish and gives it to the buyer. Now, where have we seen this level of detail before? Oh yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2. In that game, NPCs would literally be building houses during the game, doing chores, eating food literally off their plate, and that game is considered one of the most detailed games of all time. Often we've seen such a huge gap between Rockstar's recent titles and the competition, with no games really closing that gap, at least not in a giant open world setting. Well, judging by the small clips we've seen here, I think it's fair to say that CDPR are going to try and match Rockstar's attention to detail and make their world more immersive than ever. This is a massive step up from CDPR because I've always known their games for having some of the most beautiful open worlds with some of the greatest writing and side quests I've ever seen, but the detail aspect, well, as beautiful as Night City and Novigrad are, often a lot of the things found there were surface level, as in, if you went past an NPC in the town, they would stay there every day and repeat the same dialogue. It worked great for the time, but this is just upgrading it to levels that we've not seen from their studio before. So if you compared like small details in Red Dead Redemption 2 versus Witcher 3, it's not even a conversation. Like, they're two completely different games on different scales. But now, this looks like it's going to be a lot closer, and it looks like the world will continue to exist without the player, just like how Red Dead Redemption 2 was. Now, the next thing to discuss is the open world. So in the showcase, we get a full look at the world and some of the locations within it. CD Projekt Red have confirmed the location for the game now, which will be in Kovir. This is a map of it here. This is not the game's map. This is just a map of the Witcher's universe. As the director said, so much about the Witcher's world is about feeling natural and organic. Kovir is known for its dense forests and wild nature. Using new technology, they've made it so that every single inch of this map can be handcrafted and detailed right down to every leaf on every tree. In this showcase, we see a giant open world full of forests, rivers, and mountains. It looks absolutely gorgeous and even more detailed than any world we've seen from them before. It offers 60 frames per second with ray tracing, and the graphics are truly next gen. In this showcase, we see a small fishing town, which is full of life. We also see the surrounding nature of forests and hills, and finally, we see a huge city at the end. The map size is rumored to be as big as Witcher 3's. In an article, the developers said that they are focusing on quality over quantity in this new entry, so it's fair to say that the map will not only be huge, but it will be CDPR's most detailed world design ever. But the most important thing is that they're still able to capture the Witcher aesthetic in their design. It still looks just like a Witcher game with its colour palette and its open world design. Some people were worried that the Unreal Engine switch would make their game bland or make it lose their Witcher personality, that it would be just like many other Unreal Engine games. Based off of what we see here, we don't need to worry about that at all. The characteristics of a Witcher open world are all still there. Finally, we have the writing. So in this clip, we see Ciri heading towards a fish market town in order to turn in a, what we can only assume, side quest to the quest giver. Now, the dialogue here is not only well written and mature, but it also has that same level of depth that we saw in Witcher 3. In some games, quests are quite one-dimensional. Please go to this fort to kill this bad guy who's definitely bad and only there to be destroyed, and get my thing and bring it back. Witcher 3 was revolutionary as it offered so many branching narratives to each quest. Often you would get a simple task, but after delving into it, you'd find that there was a much larger plot line to be discovered. Hidden plots, reasons for things happening, new characters to speak of, heightened tensions. Oftentimes you'd be introduced to both the quest giver and the bad guy, and then you're given the choice on how this quest will play out. You decided the outcome. This is what made Witcher 3 so successful for its time. Well, judging by the things that Ciri says in this cutscene, it looks like this quest covers betrayal, lies, manipulation, and secrets. Now, right when Ciri is about to make a decision on the quest outcome, the camera pans away, so we're unable to see what making a decision looks like in the game. But it's important that the director mentions here that she is making a decision. See, in my opinion, this is the most important aspect of Witcher 3, and it's the main reason why that game was so successful and has so much replay value. Every single side quest had a unique plot and characters, but each had decisions to be made. Making those decisions impacted the world. So, decisions you made earlier will pay off later, or show their ramifications. It was one of the reasons why Cyberpunk didn't receive as much praise as The Witcher 3, as its decision making was quite limited, and oftentimes you wouldn't see the outcome pay off. It looks like CD Projekt Red have managed to not only keep the high quality writing and dialogue in this sequel, but still managed to keep that Witcher formula strong, in that decision making will play a major role. So, The Witcher 4 looks amazing. Crowd density was also shown, and the developers explained how they were able to have more people on screen compared to The Witcher 3. If you're anything like me, Novigrad felt like the most bustling city I'd ever seen in a video game back in 2015. Imagine what they can do with this new technology. I'm sure we will be seeing one of CD Projekt Red's most ambitious cities to date. The blueprint that made Witcher 3 so successful appears to still be there. The movement of the character and horse are amplified and look and feel more realistic and responsive than ever. The open world is not only gorgeous with next-gen graphics, but the environment is more detailed than we've ever seen from a CD Projekt Red game, and the world reacts to the player. The character of Ciri looks not only well suited, but well performed and a natural replacement to Geralt. Her witty dialogue and back and forth show that she has what it takes to step into the role of main character. In summary, the game looks incredible, and it appears that fans can finally begin to get their hopes up and have positive expectations. Now, I hear some of you from the back of the classroom yelling, yeah, well, Cyberpunk looked amazing in the trailers and demos too, and we all know how that turned out. Well, it is for that very reason that I can almost guarantee Witcher 4, whenever it releases, will be arguably the most polished CDPR game ever. You see, that Cyberpunk launch cost them, big time. They have updated that game. They have added mods. They've added new content. They've added DLC, upgraded graphics. They have done everything to make up for their mistake and make that game amazing. And they have. And has everyone forgiven them? Nope. People still worry about The Witcher 4 because of that one release. Suffice to say, that decision to release that game, untested and broken, hurt them more than anything. They literally cannot recover from that error and earn back 100% of players' trust. So, imagine you're the CEO of CD Projekt Red. Do you think they would dare do that again? If you had a priority list, what's going number one? Release the game polished, make sure it works, no glitches. They cannot allow it to happen again, it's just not an option. Bethesda might be able to get away with it and call it charm, but CD Projekt Red will not get that luxury again, not after Cyberpunk's launch. They have to get this one right. They cannot let history repeat itself. But, judging by everything shown in the showcase, it looks like we are getting The Witcher 4 that we always dreamed of. It looks like Witcher 3 just brought up to current gen. I think we can finally begin to dream and confidently get excited about this game. I know I will. And if it's as detailed as they claim it to be, maybe Rockstar will finally have a studio that can compete with them in terms of game quality. To me, it looks like a mix of Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Witcher 3, two of my favourite games. Also, just another interesting point, in 2015 Bethesda released Fallout 4, and then Witcher 3 came out that same year. As a result, Witcher 3 scooped up all the awards and sort of showed how Bethesda had fallen behind in terms of game design. Are we going to see Witcher 4 and Elder Scrolls 6 drop at the same time? Can you imagine? One can dream. Also, we need to remember that CDPR have always delivered. The launch of Cyberpunk was admittedly a disaster, but the game today is amazing. Witcher 3 is arguably the greatest game of all time, and its expansion packs, including Heart of Stone, as well as Blood and Wine, are two of the best DLCs in video game history, and the recent expansion of Phantom Liberty in Cyberpunk is some of the studio's best world building and writing. Besides that launch, CD Projekt Red have not yet missed and they've always delivered. I hear a lot of talk about how they've changed staff and as a result they've lost their touch, but I've yet to see that. We'll find out when Witcher 4 drops, but for now, based on what I see, we have every reason to be optimistic and be excited for the future. But anyway, that's about it for this one, but what do you guys think? What did you think of the footage shown? Do you think Witcher 4 will meet expectations? Or do you still not trust CD Projekt Red after Cyberpunk? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please give it the thumbs up. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'm Av Gaming, where we do video game analysis, identifying what makes great games great and what could make good games great as well. Thanks for watching. Av out.